Welcome. In this video, we are going to discuss about ADH hormone physiology. The ADH name is anti-diuretic hormone. Anti-diuretic hormone. It has got another name, vasopressin. Another name, vasopressin. First, understand the name itself. It is anti-diuretic hormone. What do you mean by the diuresis? Diuresis is water loss from the body through kidneys is known as simple diuresis. As it is anti-diuresis, it prevents the water loss from the body, or it bring back water lost through the kidney. Another name is vasopressin. What do you mean by the vaso? Vaso is a blood vessel. Vaso is a blood vessel. Pressin means contraction. Pressin means contraction. So it's a blood vessel contraction. Blood vessel contraction will leads to vasoconstriction. Vasoconstriction. So ADH itself in this chart will do two functions. It acts on the kidney, reverses the diuretic function, so it brings back the water loss, and acts on the blood vessel. It causes vasoconstriction. In this whole session of ADH discussion, we will be studying the ADH hormone physiology into two headings: secretion and regulation of the secretions. Secretion of this and how to regulate the body, how we will regulate the secretion of ADH. We will discuss this. And next one, mechanism of action. How the secreted ADH hormone in our body is going to act on the kidney as well as on the blood vessels. We will discuss this. We'll start ADH hormone secretion first. ADH hormone secretion. So we'll draw a diagram here. This is the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus. This is the pituitary gland, and pituitary has got two parts: anterior pituitary and posterior pituitary. It has got two parts: anterior pituitary and posterior pituitary. This is hypothalamus. Hypothalamus. Remember, the first point regarding ADH secretion is ADH hormone is synthesized in the hypothalamus, secreted by the posterior part of the pituitary. Both are different. First, what I told, synthesis in hypothalamus, secretion by posterior pituitary. Going to this diagram. In the hypothalamus has got many nucleus. Nucleus are nothing but a group of cells. This many nucleus, the one nucleus responsible for the synthesis of ADH is supraoptic nucleus. Supraoptic optic nucleus. Supraoptic nucleus is responsible for secretion. From the supraoptic nucleus, the neurons arise and they will end in posterior pituitary. This supraoptic nucleus will secrete the ADH hormone, and that ADH hormone comes and stores in the posterior part of pituitary, and in the particular region of posterior part of the pituitary is pars nervosa. Pars nervosa is a part in the posterior pituitary where the ADH is actually collected there. Whenever the signal gives, that is released into the blood, that is posterior pituitary here. This is regarding secretion. What I told, supraoptic nucleus is a main area for the synthesis, and from that area ADH comes in the posterior part of the pituitary and it is collected in the pars nervosa of posterior pituitary. Whenever body requires the ADH, any stimulus is given to the supraoptic nucleus, the signal is given here and ADH is released into the blood. So this is regarding secretion, and we will discuss some important aspects here. Second point, what are the factors that will give the stimulation, that increases the stimulation to secrete ADH? Increase stimulation for ADH secretions. Increase stimulus for ADH secretion. The first stimulus is, this is very important, first stimulus is increase blood osmolality. Increase blood osmolality. First understand this, what is osmolality first, then we'll go for blood osmolality in detail. See, this is the blood vessel. This is the blood vessel. In the blood vessel, many solutes are there, many cells are there. We'll draw those. This is, consider this is RBC, and this is WBC, and these are platelets. These are the cells present here, and many solutes like sodium, potassium, magnesium, like the many calcium, many things are there, and protein is also there. Protein is also there. All these particles and the cells will be freely floating in the blood plasma. This is a normal blood. All the electrolytes are there and cells are there, they are present in the plasma. We'll give an example of two pots here. Two pots are there. The two pots are filled with the equal quantity of water, you consider. Two pots are there. This is pot number A. This is pot number B. These two pots are filled with equal quantity of water. What I will do is, I will add 10 gram of salt to this, and here also I will add 10 gram of salt to this. I will add these two, 10 gram of salt and 10 gram of salt here. Next, what I will do is, I will give heat to this. I will give a heat to this so that this water starts boiling and there is a reduction of water to the half. Reduction of water to the half here. This much water is lost. And now comparing these two, pot number A and pot number B, which is more concentrated? which is more concentrated. Which is more concentrated? Obviously, pot number B is more concentrated because the same salt is present in a lesser water as the 50% of the water is evaporated. This pot number B is concentrated and this is what? Diluted. Pot number A is diluted because there is no water loss here. Pot number B is concentrated because of water loss. Same phenomena you apply over here. This is the blood vessel. If I remove the plasma, this blood becomes concentrated. This blood becomes concentrated. If I add a water here, this becomes diluted. So any blood or any substance which the concentration increases because of the solutes present here will increase the osmolality. Indicating that the osmolality is increased means there is a solutes more and the water is lesser in that concentration. When the water becomes lesser, the osmolality increases. So blood osmolality increase. Blood osmolality is a potent stimulator of ADH hormone. What we discussed in the initial beginning of the class is, as the ADH hormone comes, it prevents the water loss. Right? As it is preventing the water loss, it adds on the water here and there is a normal value. So increasing the blood osmolality will be a potent stimulator of ADH hormone secretion. This first point. And second one, if the blood volume goes down, if the blood volume goes down, or BP falls, it will stimulate the ADH hormone to come into the blood. It will stimulate the hypothalamus to secrete the ADH. How? See, as the blood volume is lesser, it's a volume loss. Volume loss is easily detected by the venous system of the body. But the blood pressure is detected by the arterial system of the body. Blood. See, this is the heart. Heart has what? Superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. This superior vena cava and inferior vena cava are the venous system, right? And this is the arch of aorta. This is the carotid, normal carotid, common carotid artery, external and internal carotid artery. See, when the blood volume goes down or BP goes down, the venous system volume goes down is detected by the superior and inferior vena cava, majorly. Superior and inferior vena cava, where the BP goes down is detected by the baroreceptors present in the arch of aorta and carotid sinus. These are the potent stimulator when the body blood volume goes down and the BP goes down. As these two happens, this will be stimulated. As this will be stimulated, there is a stimulation of the supraoptic nucleus via vagus nerve to release the ADH into the posterior pituitary. Two important points we studied here. The first is increased blood osmolality. As the increased blood osmolality is there is a water depletion. We have to indicate that. So that is a stimulator. And second one, as the blood volume goes down and the BP goes down, this will be stimulating the venous system and arterial system via vagus nerve, so that there is supraoptic nucleus start releasing the ADH hormone that comes into the blood. So we'll add another few points here. As there is increased osmolality, and these two will stimulate the supraoptic nucleus to release. Before stimulating the supraoptic nucleus, two regulator nucleus are here. Those are, first one, this one is known as subfornicular organ, and this is known as, we'll write here, this is known as vasculosum organ. This is known as vasculosum organ, or you can make it as organ of vasculosum also. Organ of vasculosum also. So these two are the regulating one. If these things happens in our body, it will not directly go and stimulate the supraoptic nucleus, where they will give the sensation here. So that they in turn will stimulate the supraoptic nucleus. If a point is added among sodium and glucose, as these two are solutes in the blood, which change among the sodium and glucose, which change makes a potent stimulation of the subfornicular organ and organ of vasculosum, which is a potent stimulator, changes. See, the sodium change on either way, from the normal and the decrease on the increase, or the glucose on the normal decrease and the increase, the sodium change will significantly changes the osmolality. Osmolality becomes a potent stimulator for the secretions or decrease of the ADH hormone. But the glucose, 2 points are important. Glucose doesn't make a significant change in the osmolality, first one, and second one, glucose will be easily, freely going through the blood-brain barrier. That will not make a much significant in the osmolality. But the sodium is relatively impermeable, and any small changes will definitely stimulate the subfornicular organ of vasculosum. So these two will regulate the secretion of ADH from the supraoptic nucleus. So this is regarding the secretion of ADH hormone from the hypothalamus posterior pituitary. Then we'll go to the ADH hormone mechanism of action. ADH hormone mechanism of action. See, once the ADH hormone is released here, it will go into the two places. It is released into the blood, right? It acts on the blood vessel and it acts on the kidney. It acts on the blood vessel as well as it acts on the kidney. First we will be seeing what are the action on the kidney first. We will draw the diagram of kidney as the kidney looks like this. And what is the basic functional unit of the kidney? It is glomerulus. We will draw the diagram of nephron. Basic unit is nephron. Basic functional and structural unit of the kidney is nephron. You know the nephron. This is what Bowman's capsule, and here is the glomerular. membrane, and this one is proximal cannulated tubule, and this one is loop of Henle. Loop of Henle is a descending loop of Henle, and this is ascending loop of Henle, and this one is distal cannulated tubule, and here is collecting duct. Collecting duct. And the action of ADH hormone is on the collecting duct here. It's on the collecting duct. It doesn't act on anywhere here. It is action will be on the collecting duct. We will rub all these points here. We will be putting only the collecting duct here. Only collecting duct. Okay. So this is the collecting duct. This is collecting duct. There are cells here in the collecting duct. The collecting duct, the cells here. And these cells are known as principal cells. They are known as principal cells. Okay, we will take one principal cell. We will take this one principal cell and we will enlarge. Take one principal cell. We will draw this. We will enlarge. We will take this principal cell and we will enlarge here. We enlarge this one principal cell. We will take and this is collecting duct, and this is the one cell principal cell, and we enlarged here. This side is what? Urine is coming here. It has got water. This side has water here. Say water. It's coming. It is a principal cell. And this side, what we call as luminal side. It is luminal side. This side. Luminal side. Okay. This side is called as basilar side, basilar membrane. This is basilar membrane. This is luminal side and this is basilar side. And these two are lateral. These two are lateral. We'll make a little bit of shorter basilar side here because we need some space. This is basilar side. This is basilar side. This is basilar side, right? Here, this is a collecting duct. Here surrounding will be the blood vessel. Obviously, this is blood vessel here. This is blood vessel, and we'll draw the same blood vessel. Here will be the blood vessel. Blood vessel. Just give a orientation to the diagram. What I did is, this is collecting duct where the urine is coming like this, and this cell is called as principal cell, and this membrane is a luminal side membrane, and this side will be the basilar side membrane, and these two lower one is a lateral and this is lateral side. As the collecting duct is there, surrounding will be the obviously blood vessels. One blood vessels I draw here. Now from the blood vessel here, as the ADH is secreted from the pituitary, it is secreted from the pituitary. From the blood vessel, the ADH hormone comes. ADH hormone comes. Here ADH hormone comes. ADH hormone comes. Right. My part is over. We will drop this diagram. From the blood vessel, as it is from the posterior pituitary, released here, ADH hormone comes to the kidney. As it comes to the kidney, I told it acts on the principal cell. On the basilar membrane of this principal cell, it acts on the receptor known as vasopressin 2 receptor. V2. It acts on the vasopressin 2 receptor. We can also call it as it is ADH receptor 2, vasopressin 2 receptor. On the action of this vasopressin 2 receptors, there is a stimulation in the cell to G protein, G stimulatory protein. G stimulatory protein. So simple. It's acting on the V2 receptors and the stimulation of the ADH to the B2 receptor, there is a stimulation of G stimulatory protein in the principal cells. Further, it will stimulate the adenyl cyclase. Further, it will stimulate the adenyl cyclase. On the stimulation of this adenyl cyclase, there is a conversion of ATP into cyclic AMP. We require the cyclic AMP. Why? Because cyclic AMP acts as a secondary messenger to stimulate the one enzyme here, that is protein kinase A. Protein kinase A. It will stimulate the protein kinase A. This is very important step. See what I told, it acts on the B2 receptor, it will release the G stimulatory protein and it will stimulate the adenyl cyclase, where there is a conversion of ATP into cyclic AMP. On the conversion of cyclic AMP, there is a release of, there is a stimulation for it, protein kinase A. This protein kinase A, this is the nucleus of this cell. This protein kinase A will activate the gene responsible for something known as aquaporin. This is very important. Aquaporin. That gene is present over this nucleus, DNA, and this protein kinase A will stimulate here, and that undergoes the gene expression, transcription, translation involving the ribosomes, and there's ultimately secretion of aquaporin. Actually, it is aquaporin 2. It is aquaporin 2. What is the function of this aquaporin 2? Aquaporin 2 is a free channel where the water can easily move. Water can easily move. That's the aquaporin 2 function. This aquaporin 2 will come and sets in the luminal membrane. Comes and sets in the luminal membrane. Comes and sets in the luminal membrane. These steps will happen. And what are the other aquaporins? There are aquaporin 3 and 4 also. They are present, normally present. They are not secreted like this. Normally present. Aquaporin 3, aquaporin 4, they are normally present on the basilar membrane as well as on the lateral membranes. They are normally present here. See, we'll draw the same diagram here. This is the Bowman's capsule piece, proximal convoluted tubule, and this is the loop of Henle, distal convoluted tubule, and this is collecting duct. In the collecting duct, as the water inform urine, you consider urine is there. That urine has got abundant of water, is flowing like this. Is flowing like this. Is flowing like this. On the principal cell now, there are aquaporins. On the principal cell now, there are aquaporin started. Now this water is getting movement. As it starts getting movement inside, this aquaporin enter the water, will go to the aquaporin 3 and aquaporin 4 and get absorbed into the blood. Means what? See, with this water goes into the principal cell. After going into the principal cell, it is absorbed into the blood vessel. This is the mechanism of action of the ADH on the principal cells of the collecting duct, where it absorbs the water and given back to the blood vessels. So many doubts arises here. Doubt number 1, you have to clarify. There is no problem here because this is a free water. More water is there in the collecting tube, so that it will get enter into the principal cell. What makes the fluid to enter into the interstitial space here? After that, it will get absorbed. No problem. What makes the interstitial space to get absorbed is it has got abundant sodium. As the sodium is much more here, the water will be going through the principal cell to the extracellular space because of the sodium. As it comes here, it gets absorbed into the blood. ultimately the water will get absorbed into the blood. The water get absorbed into the blood. We'll rub this. As the water get absorbed into the blood, what happens? BP increases, blood value increases, and initial discussion, as the solutes were much concentrated, now the solutes becomes diluted, that it will be a decreasing blood osmolality. This is the important ADH function, how it will maintain. When the BP goes down, when the blood volume goes down or the blood osmolality increases, the ADH acts on the kidney and makes the water to enter into the blood vessel, and now the BP increases, blood volume increases, and there is a blood osmolality is going to decrease. This is the first function. And second function is it acts on the blood vessel. Consider this is the blood vessel. In the blood vessel, again receptors are there. They are called as vasopressin 2 receptors. And the vasopressin 1 is in kidney. This is vasopressin 1 receptor. Vasopressin 2, we discussed the principle, sir. That's there in the kidney. This is vasopressin 1 receptor, and it's there in the blood vessel. It acts ADH. What it will make? It will make the blood vessel to contract. It will make the blood vessel to contract. By contracting again, what happens? BP increases and the body returns to normal condition. So this is the thing happens in emergencies. When the body requires so much going for the dehydration, blood loss after the accident, and there's a blood loss there, and all this situation, this ADH is becoming very important hormone. This is regarding, we discussed secretions and regulation and mechanism of action. Two more points I want to add here. First point, when the ADH level goes down in the body normally, what happens? More water loss will happen. As the more water loss will happen, the person will be having a polyuria, and he's got more thirst, polydipsia, and that situation or the condition known as diabetes insipidus. Diabetes insipidus. What is the difference between diabetes mellitus here? Diabetes mellitus is because of the glucose loss. As the glucose is taking the water out, more urine formation will be there. But in case of diabetes insipidus, it is because of ADH level going down. As the ADH level is going down, water is not retaining in the body, water is going down. More here, more water loss. When the ADH level goes up in the body, what happens? The water retention happens. Water collects more there in the body. As the face becomes swelling, hands and abdomen and legs become swollen and things like that is called as syndrome of inappropriate ADH. SIAD. Syndrome of inappropriate ADH secretion. Hope so I cleared regarding physiology of ADH in terms of secretions, regulations, and mechanism of action on the blood vessels and the kidneys, and some two definitions regarding when the ADH goes down and when ADH goes up. Thank you.